340 voices screaming through static. Rachel Thompson's hand trembled on the radio dial as dying Marines begged for extraction from the Helmand Valley kill zone. Behind her, Major Bradford laughed. "Make yourself useful, sweetheart. Coffee's in the break room." But Rachel knew something he didn't. She'd flown missions that didn't exist in places that had no names. And tonight, when protocol meant death, she'd become the ghost they tried to bury. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button and stay with me until the end of this story. Drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far this journey takes us. The radio exploded at 21:47 hours. Screaming Eagle 6 to any station taking heavy fire, 340 Marines pinned casualties mounting request, immediate. Static swallowed the rest. Rachel Thompson's coffee cup hit the floor. Nobody looked. "Get me satellite." Major Bradford's voice cut through the operations center. "Now." The screens lit up. Red dots filled a narrow valley. Rachel stepped forward. "Sir, that's Zangabad Valley. I flagged it this morning as a Thompson." Bradford didn't turn around. "Go make coffee." "Sir, I studied that terrain." "Did I stutter?" He spun to face her. "Coffee, now." Captain Hayes laughed. "Yeah, Thompson. Let the real pilots handle this." Rachel's jaw tightened. "Sir, the valley walls create a natural what?" Bradford moved closer. "You gonna lecture me? You been in country 3 weeks. 8 weeks. 8 weeks. He smiled. "Cold. Mean. I've got 15 years combat flight. Hayes has 12. Willis over there has 23. So when I need advice from a diversity hire, I'll ask. Until then, shut up." The radio screamed again. "RPG fire South Ridge, they're everywhere. Martinez is down." Rachel's hands clenched. "What's the extraction plan?" "We don't have one." Bradford turned back to his screens. "Chinooks are 40 minutes out. Can't send them without air support." 40 minutes. Rachel's voice rose. "They don't have..." "Then they better hold." Bradford's tone ended it. Rachel stared at the red dots. Watched them blink, fade, die. Her father's voice echoed. "There's gonna come a day when following orders means watching good men die." "Sir," her voice came out steady. "What about the Hueys in Hangar 7? Hayes burst out laughing. "The museum pieces, Thompson, those birds haven't flown in 3 years. They have engines. They have death traps," Master Sergeant Willis said. "Vietnam-era relics, no GPS, no night vision, no countermeasures. You'd fly blind into hot LZ with nothing but prayers. But they'd fly." Bradford's face went red. "Thompson, you're dismissed. Get out before I write you up." "We're being overrun, requesting immediate." The transmission died in gunfire. "Out." Bradford pointed at the door. "Now." Rachel walked out. Behind her, Hayes muttered loud enough to hear, "Affirmative action pilot thinks she's gonna save the day. Probably can't even fly a Huey." "Probably never seen real combat," Willis added. Their laughter followed her down the hall. Rachel made it to the latrine, vomited, washed her face, stared at the mirror. 28 years old, 5'4", 120. They saw a diversity hire. They didn't know what she'd been, what she'd done, what she'd lost. She touched her left sleeve, felt the tattoo underneath, the Night Stalker dagger, lasered off her record 4 years ago, along with everything else. Death waits in the dark. Rachel dried her face and made a choice. She headed for the flight line. Hangar 7 sat dark and forgotten. The door wasn't locked. Rachel slipped inside and hit the lights. 6 dead Hueys, stripped for parts, gutted, hollow. "Can I help you?" Rachel spun. A woman stepped out from behind a helicopter, 40-ish, gray-streaked hair, mechanic's hands. "I need a bird that can fly," Rachel said. The woman studied her. "You're Thompson, the one Bradford treats like his secretary." News travels fast. "I'm Elena Rodriguez, chief mechanic." She gestured at the Hueys. "None of these fly, not legally." "What about illegally?" Elena's eyebrows rose. "Now that's interesting." "Those Marines are dying." Rachel's voice cracked. "Bradford won't send help because it's not protocol. Because following rules matters more than lives. Bradford's a coward. Elena said it flat. Final. Been watching him 6 years. Sends pilots into bad situations to cover his ass. Refuses to send anyone when it might make him look bad. She paused. You know what you're asking? Yeah, I'm asking you to help me destroy my career. Elena smiled, sharp. My brother was a Marine, Miguel Rodriguez. Died in Fallujah because his helo support got rerouted to protect some colonel's supply convoy. The pilots wanted to help. Their commander said no. Her voice went hard. Miguel died calling for evac that never came. She walked to the corner, grabbed a tarp. I've been keeping one bird ready, just in case someone had the guts. She yanked the tarp off. The Huey looked old, scarred, used, but the engine was clean. The rotors intact. 1971 UH-1H, Elena said. Vietnam, Desert Storm, Iraq. She's older than us, held together with spare parts and spite. But her engine's solid. Hydraulics work. Fuel tanks don't leak. She turned. Can you fly her? Rachel ran her hand along the fuselage. I learned on Huey's. My father flew medevac in Vietnam. Same bird. Then you know they're simple. Honest. No computers lying to you. Just you and physics. I've got the skill. Then let's pre-flight this bitch. Elena pulled a flashlight. My brother deserves that much. They worked fast. Rachel's hands moved automatic. Muscle memory. The training never left. Every system checked. Every connection tested. Elena had done good work. The bird was old, but ready. The engine turned over on first try. That deep Huey growl. Fuel? Rachel asked. 3/4 tank. Weapons. 2 M240s, door-mounted, zeroed, loaded. Elena paused. They'll crucify you for this. Rachel thought about the screaming on the radio, about 340 Marines dying because rules mattered more than people, about her father's voice. I've been crucified before, she said. I'm still here. She climbed into the pilot's seat. Her hands found the controls. Elena leaned in. Call sign. Rachel smiled. Cold. Sharp. Shadow 7-1. She pulled on the helmet. The radio crackled bass frequency, still carrying the screams from the valley. Bradford's voice. All aircraft remain grounded. Repeat. All aircraft grounded. Direct order. Rachel looked at Elena. Step back. Elena grinned. Give him hell, Shadow. Rachel throttled up. The rotors spun. Faster. The whole bird shook. She didn't call ground control. Didn't ask permission. Just pulled pitch and lifted. Unauthorized aircraft departing Hangar 7. Identify. Rachel switched frequencies. Screaming Eagle 6 Shadow 7-1. I'm inbound to your position with medical evac. Mark your LZ with IR strobes. How copy? Silence. Then Shadow 7-1. Who are you? We were told no birds available. I just became available. 5 minutes out. Get your wounded ready. Shadow 7-1. The Marine's voice broke. God bless you. Rachel flew low, fast, using terrain. The Huey handled heavy but honest, like her father described. No computers, no autopilot, just raw skill. Bradford's voice exploded. Unidentified aircraft returned to base immediately. Rachel ripped off the helmet, threw it on the co-pilot seat, flew in silence. Just rotor noise, and her breathing, and her father's whisper. There's gonna come a day. 4 minutes to the valley. 340 Marines waiting. Rachel pushed the throttle. The Huey screamed forward. Back at base, Bradford stared at his screens. Who was that? Who the hell was that? Hayes was pulling files. No authorized flights. No flight plans filed. Willis stood slowly. Sir, that call sign, Shadow 7-1. So, that's a 160th call sign from 4 years ago. Willis's voice went quiet. From a pilot named Rachel Caldwell, before she changed her name to Thompson. The room went silent. Before they buried her file, Willis continued. After Takur Gar, when she violated orders to extract Rangers under fire, Saved 17 men who were supposed to die. The brass court-martialed her, erased her from the unit. Bradford's face went white. You're telling me the pilot I grounded is a former Night Stalker? Not just any Night Stalker. Willis read from his screen. Over 400 combat hours, 300 night ops, classified file thicker than my record. Youngest pilot ever selected for the 160th. Turned down Pentagon to stay operational. Hayes looked. Sir, it says her skills are classified above our pay grade. Bradford grabbed his desk. And I told her to make coffee. Yeah, Willis said. You did. Rachel didn't know, didn't care. All she saw was the valley. Tracer fire, explosions, the radio in one ear. They're on the perimeter. Fall back. Where's our air? Shadow 7-1 screaming Eagle 6. New voice. Officer. Tight. 40 KIA. 90 wounded. Enemy closing 3 sides, preparing final stand. Rachel keyed her mic. Eagle 6 Shadow 7-1. 30 seconds out. Pop smoke. Clear me an LZ. Shadow 7-1, there's no LZ. Rocks in enemy fire. This is one way. Good thing I don't plan on staying. Rachel's voice was ice. Pop smoke. Now. Green smoke bloomed. Rachel saw it through the dark. Saw the tracers. Saw men fighting, dying. She dropped the Huey like a stone. Killing speed. Bleeding altitude. The bird shook. Bullets sparked off metal. An RPG streaked past her canopy. The skids hit dirt. Load now. Marines materialized from smoke, carrying stretchers, dragging wounded, throwing bodies into the cargo bay. 12, 15, 18, more than rated, more than physics allowed. A sergeant leaned in, blood on his face. That's all we fit. Go. Rachel pulled pitch. The Huey groaned. The engine screamed. Nothing happened. Too much weight. Come on, baby. Rachel's voice was barely a whisper. Come on. The skids lifted, inches, then feet. The Huey clawed into the air, every rivet shaking, but flying. Rachel banked hard, dove into a canyon, used terrain for cover. Behind her, someone was crying. Angel, someone whispered. She's an angel. Rachel landed at the medical pad. 12 minutes. Medics swarmed. She didn't shut down. Eagle 6 Shadow 7-1 returning for load 2, 15 minutes. Shadow 7-1. The officer's voice cracked. You beautiful, crazy woman, we'll be ready. She went back, and back, and back. On the 4th run, a Marine grabbed her arm as she loaded wounded. Who are you? Just a pilot. No. His grip tightened. Blood ran down his face. You're more than that. What's your name? Shadow. Your real name. Rachel met his eyes. Rachel Thompson. Well, Rachel Thompson, you just saved my life, and I'm going to remember that forever. On the 7th run, the hydraulics started leaking. Red fluid sprayed across her windscreen. Shadow 7-1, you need to land, now. Elena's voice on maintenance frequency. After this load. You won't make it back. Watch me. She made it, barely. Landed hard. The stick was getting sloppy. One more run, she told Elena. Rachel, the bird's dying. So are they. On the 10th run, a lance corporal stumbled to her cockpit. Ma'am, we got a kid. 18. Both legs gone. He's asking for his mom. Put him in. There's no room. Put him in. Rachel's voice cut like a blade. I'll make room. They did. She flew back with 19 bodies crammed in a bird rated for 12. On the 13th run, shrapnel punched through her door, tore her sleeve, opened her forearm. Blood sprayed the instrument panel. Shadow 7-1, you're hit. I know. Rachel grabbed duct tape from the console, wrapped her arm, kept flying. I'm good. She wasn't good. Her vision was starting to blur. Her arm was numb, but she went back. On the 15th run, the engine started missing. Temperature gauge hit red, kept climbing. Shadow 7-1, that engine's about to seize. Land now. After this load. Rachel. After this load. She loaded 12 more wounded. One of them was the sergeant who'd asked her name. You came back, he said. His voice was weak, shocked. Of course I came back. Why? Rachel looked at him. Because you're worth it. On the 17th run, she knew it was the last. The engine was smoking. The temperature gauge was buried in red. The hydraulics were gone. She was flying on cables and prayers. Eagle 6 Shadow 7-1. How many left? 23 wounded. That's it. That's everyone. Roger, loading now. They crammed 23 men into a dying helicopter. Rachel sat in the cockpit. Her arm was soaked in blood. Her vision was tunneling. The controls felt like they weighed 1,000 pounds. Shadow 7-1. I don't think you can make this. The officer's voice was gentle. We can wait for the Chinooks. No. Rachel's voice was firm. No more waiting. No more leaving people behind. She pulled pitch one last time. The Huey shuddered, shook. The engine howled like it was being torn apart, but it lifted. Rachel flew them back in 12 minutes. The engine was screaming. Smoke poured from the cowling. Oil pressure was 0. Temperature was, she couldn't see the gauge anymore. Couldn't see much of anything. Shadow 7-1, you're on fire. I know. You need to ditch. Not yet. The base appeared through the smoke. Rachel aimed for the medical pad. The engine seized. The rotors auto-rotated. She had one shot. The skids hit concrete. Hard. The Huey bounced. Settled. Stopped. Rachel's hands fell from the controls. Everybody out, she whispered. Marines scrambled out. Medics pulled the wounded clear. Rachel tried to climb out. Couldn't. Her legs wouldn't work. Her arm was just pain and blood. Hands grabbed her, Elena and 2 medics. They pulled her from the cockpit. 340? Rachel mumbled. Did we get 340? Yeah, honey. Elena's voice was choked. Every single one. Good. Rachel smiled. That's good. Boots hit the tarmac. Heavy. Command boots. Rachel looked up through blurred vision. General Marcus Morrison. 2 stars. Gray hair. Hard eyes. He stared at her for a long moment. Then he knelt. Shadow 7-1. He said quietly. I was at Takurgar. I was a captain. You pulled my rangers out of an ambush everyone said was impossible. The brass crucified you for it. I didn't speak up. I was scared for my career. His voice cracked. I've regretted that silence every day since. He stood, saluted. You saved my men then. You saved my Marines tonight. We failed you the first time. We won't fail you again. Behind him, 340 Marines. The ones who could stand snapped to attention. Saluted as one. The sound of it echoed across the base. A wall of respect, of gratitude, of recognition. Rachel tried to stand. Couldn't. She nodded instead. Just doing what my father taught me, sir. Her voice was barely audible. Real strength doesn't wear medals. It leaves survivors. Bradford pushed through the crowd. His face was white. Thompson, you are under arrest for... Shut up. Morrison didn't look at him. Just shut up, Bradford. Sir, she violated direct orders. She saved 340 Marines. Morrison's voice could have cut steel. While you sat in your office protecting your career. So shut your mouth before I have you arrested. Bradford stumbled back. Morrison turned to Rachel. Can you walk? No, sir. Then someone get her to medical. He looked at the crowd. And someone get this woman a medal. A real one. Not the kind we give for paperwork. The kind we give for courage. They lifted Rachel onto a stretcher. As they carried her away, she looked back at the Huey. 47 bullet holes in the fuselage, engine smoking, hydraulic fluid pooling under the skids. But she'd held together, just long enough. Thank you, baby, Rachel whispered. Thank you for not quitting. Elena stood beside the destroyed helicopter, tears running down her face. She touched the scarred metal. My brother would have loved you, she said softly. To Rachel or the Huey, nobody knew. Rachel closed her eyes as they carried her to medical. 340 voices were silent now. No more screaming, no more dying, just peace. And the knowledge that when it mattered, when protocol demanded she watch good men die, she'd made the choice her father taught her. She'd chosen them. Rachel woke up to white ceiling tiles and the smell of antiseptic. Her left arm was wrapped thick. IV in her right. Someone was arguing outside the door. I don't care what Morrison said. She violated direct orders. She stole military property. She endangered. She saved 340 Marines, Bradford, and someone else. Rachel didn't recognize the second voice. That's not the point. We have protocols for a reason. Chain of command exists for what? The second voice cut him off, sharp, female, for letting men die while you cover your ass. Rachel tried to sit up. Pain shot through her arm. She bit back a scream. The door opened. A woman walked in, Colonel's eagles on her collar, 50-something, steel gray hair, eyes that had seen everything and judged most of it wanting. Lieutenant Thompson. She closed the door. I'm Colonel Sarah Hendricks, JAG Corps. I'm here to investigate last night's incident. Am I under arrest? That depends on what you tell me. Hendricks pulled up a chair. Sat. Major Bradford wants you court-martialed. General Morrison wants you promoted. So let's start with the truth. Why did you disobey direct orders? Rachel met her eyes. Because 340 Marines were dying and nobody was helping them. Bradford says the Chinooks were en route. 40 minutes out. Those men didn't have 40 minutes. He says the Hueys and Hangar 7 were non-operational. One was operational enough. Hendricks leaned back. You knew that how... Rachel hesitated. This was the moment. The truth would end her career, again. But lying felt worse. Chief Rodriguez had been maintaining one bird, in case it was ever needed. In case. Hendricks's tone was flat. And you decided last night was the case. Yes, ma'am. Even though Bradford ordered all aircraft grounded. Yes, ma'am. Even though you knew it would destroy your career. Rachel looked at her wrapped arm. Ma'am, I already had my career destroyed once. For doing the same thing. Saving men nobody else would save. Hendricks was quiet for a long moment. Then, tell me about Tucker Gar. Rachel's chest tightened. That's classified. Not to me. Hendricks pulled out a tablet. I've spent the last 6 hours reading your real file. The one they buried. Shadow 7-1, 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Night Stalker. She looked up. You were the youngest pilot ever selected, top of your class. 300 combat missions, 0 casualties. She paused. Until Tucker Gar. We had casualties at Tucker Gar, Rachel said quietly. Just not the ones everyone expected. Tell me. Rachel closed her eyes. Saw it again. The mountain. The gunfire. The Rangers pinned down and bleeding and calling for help that command said wasn't coming. March 2021, she said. 17 Rangers on a recon mission. Taliban ambushed them. Command said extraction was too risky. Weather was bad. Enemy fire too heavy. Terrain too dangerous. She opened her eyes. They said to wait for air support that was 3 hours out. But you didn't wait. I listened to them die for 20 minutes. Then I took off. Without authorization. Without authorization. Hendricks scrolled through her tablet. You flew through a blizzard. At night. With 0 visibility. Landed on a mountain ridge under heavy fire. Extracted all 17 Rangers. Took 43 rounds through your aircraft. Lost your co-pilot. Crash landed back at base. Captain Jennifer Mitchell. Rachel's voice broke. She took a round through her neck. Bled out in the co-pilot seat while I flew us home. You saved 17 men. I lost 1. The only one who mattered to command. They court-martialed you. They buried me. Rachel's hands clenched. Captain Mitchell's family wanted answers. Why was their daughter dead? Command needed someone to blame. So they blamed me. Said I violated orders. Endangered my crew. Created an international incident. She laughed. Bitter. The Rangers I saved testified for me. Didn't matter. I got convicted. Discharged from the 160th. My record erased. My call sign retired. Everything I'd done just... gone. but not court-martialed out of the service. No. Morrison spoke up. He was one of the Rangers. He had enough pull to get my sentence reduced. General discharge instead of dishonorable. Allowed to re-enlist under my married name. Start over as a nobody. Rachel met Hendrix's eyes. So, yeah, I knew what would happen last night. I knew I'd lose everything again. But I also knew I couldn't listen to 340 men die just to protect my career. Hendrix was quiet. Then she stood. Wait here. Like I can go anywhere. Hendrix smiled, thin. Bradford's outside screaming for your head. Morrison's outside threatening to feed Bradford to the Taliban. And 340 Marines are outside demanding to testify on your behalf. She headed for the door. This is going to be interesting. She left. Rachel lay back, stared at the ceiling, tried not to think about Jennifer Mitchell bleeding out beside her, tried not to hear her voice. It's okay, Shadow. You did good. You did so good. The door opened again. Elena walked in. Her eyes were red. Hey. Hey, Rachel tried to smile. How's the bird? Dead. Engine seized. Hydraulic shot. Airframe bent. She flew her last mission. Elena sat down. But what a mission. You know the Marines are calling her Shadow Phoenix now. They want to rebuild her. Every single one of them volunteered to work on her. Elena, my brother would have loved you. Elena's voice cracked. Miguel died because nobody came. You made sure nobody dies that way again. So whatever happens, whatever they do to you, know that you gave me something I've needed for 15 years. What? Peace. Elena stood. They're starting the hearing in an hour. Morrison's called in every favor he's got. It's going to be a circus. After she left, Rachel closed her eyes, tried to rest, couldn't. Her mind kept spinning, kept replaying the flights, the wounded, the screaming, the look in that young Marine's eyes when she'd told him he was worth it, worth losing everything for. The door opened a third time. A young Marine walked in. Corporal stripes, bandage on his head, his right arm in a sling. Ma'am. He stood at attention. Corporal James Vega, you pulled me out on your fourth run. You don't have to. Yes, ma'am, I do. His voice was firm. I was the one who asked your name. You said Rachel Thompson. I said I'd remember. He took a breath. I'm testifying at your hearing. Along with 273 others, we've all signed statements. We're all willing to speak. Corporal, you don't have to risk... Risk what? He smiled. Ma'am, you risked your life 17 times for us. We're risking paperwork. Doesn't seem like much of a comparison. They might retaliate against you for let them. His jaw set. My dad was a Marine. He taught me that you stand up for people who stand up for you. You stood up for us when nobody else would. Now we stand up for you. He saluted. Sharp, perfect, then left. Rachel's eyes burned. She wasn't going to cry. Wasn't going to. The tears came anyway. An hour later, 2 MPs wheeled her into a conference room. Her arm throbbed, her head pounded, but she sat straight. The room was packed. Bradford sat at one table with 2 JAG lawyers. Morrison sat at another with Hendrix. And behind them, filling every chair and lining the walls, stood Marines. Dozens of them, some in wheelchairs, some on crutches, some with bandages, all in uniform. This is irregular, Bradford sputtered. Colonel Hendrix, I protest. Noted. Hendrix didn't look at him. This is a preliminary hearing to determine if charges should be filed. These Marines have the right to be present. She looked at Rachel. Lieutenant Thompson, you stand accused of violating direct orders, theft of military property, and unauthorized operation of military aircraft. How do you respond? Guilty, ma'am. The room erupted. However, Rachel continued, her voice cutting through the noise. I'd do it again. Bradford shot to his feet. You admit you knowingly violated orders? Yes. That you stole government property? Yes. That you had no authorization to... I had authorization. Rachel's voice was ice, 340 Marines screaming for help. That's all the authorization I needed. That's not how this works. Bradford's face was purple. We have protocols, chain of command, rules that keep us from chaos. Your rules were killing them. My rules keep order. Your rules let men die. Rachel leaned forward. Pain shot through her arm. She ignored it. You sat in your office and hid behind protocol while Marines bled out in a valley. You could have sent help. You chose not to. So yeah, I violated your orders. And I'd do it again tomorrow. Morrison stood. Colonel Hendricks, if I may. Go ahead, General. Morrison looked at Bradford. Major, why did you refuse to authorize extraction? The assets weren't available. The Chinooks were 40 minutes out, but the Hueys were available. Chief Rodriguez has testified that one bird was flight ready. Why didn't you use it? Bradford's jaw worked. Those aircraft are outdated, dangerous, not equipped for, but operational. Morrison's voice was quiet, deadly. You had a working aircraft and dying Marines and you chose not to act. Why? I made a tactical decision based on what your career, your image. Morrison stepped closer. Because from where I stand, you made a decision to let 340 men die rather than risk looking bad if the mission failed. That's not, isn't it? Morrison turned to the room. Corporal Vega, stand up. Vega stood. Tell us what you heard on the ground, before Lieutenant Thompson arrived. Vega's voice was steady. We heard command discussing extraction options. We heard them say no assets were available. We heard our CO tell us to prepare for final stand. He paused. We thought we were going to die. All of us. We'd accepted it. And then we heard a Huey. We thought we were hallucinating. Because everyone had told us no help was coming. But Shadow 7-1 dropped out of the sky like an angel and started pulling us out. His voice roughened. She made 17 trips. 17 times into fire. She got hit. She bled. Her bird was falling apart. But she kept coming back. Morrison looked at Bradford. Lieutenant Thompson showed courage you don't understand. She risked everything to save men you'd written off. So don't you dare stand there and talk to me about protocol. Bradford's lawyers whispered urgently to him. He sat down. Hendricks looked at Rachel. Lieutenant, I need to ask about your previous service, about Tucker Gar. The room went silent. You were court-martialed for a similar situation, extracting Rangers against orders. Your co-pilot died. Yet last night you did the same thing again. Why? Rachel took a breath. Because at Tucker Gar, I learned something. I learned that doing the right thing sometimes costs you everything. I learned that saving lives sometimes means destroying your career. And I learned that I can live with losing my career, but I can't live with letting good men die when I could have saved them. Even though you knew the consequences. Especially because I knew the consequences. Rachel's voice was firm. Captain Jennifer Mitchell died in my co-pilot's seat. She took that round because I put her in danger, because I disobeyed orders. And you know what her last words were? The room held its breath. She said, "You did good, Shadow. You did so good." Because even dying, even bleeding out, she knew we'd made the right choice. We'd saved 17 lives, and she was proud of that. Rachel's eyes burned. So yeah, I knew what would happen last night, and I made the same choice. Because some things are worth losing everything for. Like what? Rachel looked at the Marines filling the room. Like them. Hendricks was quiet for a long moment, then she closed her tablet. Major Bradford, I've reviewed all evidence. Lieutenant Thompson did violate direct orders. She did take unauthorized action. By the letter of military law, she's guilty. Bradford smiled. However, Hendricks continued, military law also requires me to consider context, necessity, the outcome of actions taken. She stood. 340 Marines are alive because of Lieutenant Thompson's actions. 0 casualties. 0 friendly losses. A perfect mission executed under impossible circumstances. She looked at Bradford. While you sat in your office and did nothing. Bradford's smile died. Therefore, I'm recommending no charges be filed against Lieutenant Thompson. Instead, I'm recommending a full investigation into your command decisions, Major Bradford, because from where I sit, the only crime committed last night was your refusal to act." The room exploded. Marines cheering, Bradford shouting, Morrison smiling. Hendricks banged her hand on the table. "Quiet, I'm not finished." The room settled. "Lieutenant Thompson, you're hereby reinstated to full flight status, effective immediately." She paused. "General Morrison has requested you be transferred to his command. He's also recommending you for the Silver Star." Rachel couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Morrison walked over. "Welcome back, Shadow 7-1. For real this time." Bradford was on his feet. "This is outrageous. She saved 340 lives." Morrison's voice could have shattered glass. "While you were worried about paperwork, she was pulling men out of hell. So sit down and shut up before I have you relieved of command." Bradford sat. His face was white. Hendricks looked at Rachel. "You'll be transferred to Morrison's unit within 48 hours. Your record will be amended to reflect your previous service with the 160th. Your call sign will be officially restored." She almost smiled. "Shadow 7-1 is back." The Marines erupted again. Applause. Cheers. Vega was crying. So were others. Elena pushed through the crowd, grabbed Rachel's good hand. "You did it." "We did it," Rachel said. "None of this happens without you." Morrison raised his hand. The room quieted. "One more thing. The Huey Lieutenant Thompson flew last night is being rebuilt. Every Marine she saved has volunteered to work on it. When it's finished, it'll be designated Shadow Phoenix, and it'll be Lieutenant Thompson's bird." More cheers. Rachel sat in her wheelchair, overwhelmed. 4 years ago, they'd buried her, erased her, made her into nothing. And now speech, someone called out, "Speech, speech!" Rachel stood. Her arms screamed. She didn't care. "I don't know what to say, except thank you. Thank you for standing up for me. Thank you for making me believe that doing the right thing still matters." Her voice cracked. "My father taught me that real strength doesn't wear medals. It leaves survivors. Last night we left 340 survivors. And that's all the reward I need." The applause was deafening. Morrison pulled her aside as the room cleared. "I owe you an apology. At Takurgar, I didn't speak up loud enough. I let them bury you. That was wrong. You spoke up enough to save me from a dishonorable discharge. Should have done more." His jaw set. "Won't make that mistake again. You're under my command now, and I protect my people." "Thank you, sir." He handed her a phone. "Your new unit phone. Encrypted. Secure." He smiled. "Welcome back to the Shadow 7-1. That night, after they'd moved her to officer quarters, after the pain meds kicked in, after the noise finally stopped, Rachel sat alone and stared at her left arm. The bandages covered the tattoo, but she knew it was there. Death waits in the dark. She'd been dead for 4 years, buried by men who cared more about image than truth. And now she was alive again, resurrected by Marines who cared more about courage than protocol. Her new phone buzzed. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, then thought better of it. Shadow 7-1. "Glad to hear that call sign again." The voice was male, older, familiar. "This is Ghost 37. We worked together in 19. Pakistan border." Rachel's chest tightened. Ghost 37 was 160th, one of the best pilots in the unit. "I remember. Heard about your resurrection. Figured I'd reach out, see if you're ready to fly again. Real flying. I just flew 17 combat missions. I'm talking about missions that don't exist, in places that don't have names, with people who are already dead." He paused. "Morrison's got you doing regular ops, but there's another world. The one we used to live in, the one where rules end and real heroes begin." Rachel's pulse quickened. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying there's a mission, 72 hours, no official support, high risk, higher reward." His voice went quiet. "There's a team trapped. Webb is alive. They need extraction. And they need someone who doesn't quit. Someone who flies through hell because it's the right thing to do." "Who's trapped?" "Can't say on this line, but it's bad. And you're the only pilot I trust to pull this off. Rachel thought about Jennifer Mitchell, about her father, about 340 Marines who'd believed in her when nobody else would. I'm recovering from 17 missions. My arm's torn open. I can barely hold a stick. I know. That's why I'm asking. Because easy missions don't need heroes. Impossible missions do. Rachel looked at her arm, at the bandages covering the Night Stalker dagger, at the proof that she was more than what Bradford thought, more than what the brass tried to bury. When? She asked. Transport leaves in 48 hours. You'll get full briefing en route. He paused. Shadow 7-1. I won't lie. This is suicide. The odds are we all die. But if we don't go, good people die for sure. So I'm asking. One more time. You willing to fly into hell? Rachel smiled. It was the smile of someone who'd already died once and found out death wasn't scary. It was the smile of someone who'd learned that some things were worth everything. Ghost 3-7, this is Shadow 7-1. I copy. I'm in. Roger that. Welcome back to the Dark Shadow. We've missed you. The line went dead. Rachel lay back on her bed. Her arm throbbed. Her head pounded. Her body was exhausted. But her soul was on fire. She was Shadow 7-1 again. She was a Night Stalker again. She was everything they'd tried to bury. And in 48 hours, she'd prove it one more time. 48 hours wasn't enough time to heal. Rachel knew that. Her arm still bled through the bandages when she moved it wrong. The pain meds made her dizzy. The doctors said she needed 2 weeks minimum. She had 48 hours. Morrison found her in the physical therapy room at 0600, forcing her damaged arm through range of motion exercises. Sweat soaked her shirt. Her face was white. You're supposed to be resting, he said. Can't rest. Rachel gritted her teeth, pushed her arm higher. Got a mission. Thompson, you're barely cleared for duty. What mission? She met his eyes. The kind that doesn't exist. Morrison was quiet for a long moment. Then he closed the door. Who contacted you? Can't say. Was it the 160th? Rachel didn't answer, pushed her arm higher. The stitches pulled. Fresh blood seeped through the bandage. Morrison grabbed her good arm. Stop. You're tearing yourself apart. I heal fast. Not that fast. He pulled her to a bench, made her sit. Talk to me. What's happening? Rachel looked at him, saw the general who'd saved her career, saw the ranger she'd pulled out of Takur Gar, saw someone who might understand. There's a team trapped, she said quietly, somewhere they're not supposed to be, doing something that doesn't officially happen. They need extraction, and they need someone who doesn't quit. And they called you. Yeah. When Phobe, transport leaves tonight, 2300 hours. Morrison swore. You can barely lift your arm. How are you going to fly? I'll manage. Thompson, Rachel, you don't have to prove anything. Not anymore. You saved 340 Marines. You got your career back. You don't need to throw it away on a suicide mission. Rachel smiled. Sad. That's the thing about suicide missions, sir. Someone's got to fly them. Might as well be someone who's already died once. That's not... Sir. Her voice was firm. I appreciate what you've done, getting me reinstated, fighting for me. But this is who I am. I don't fly desk missions. I fly the ones that matter, the ones nobody else will touch. Morrison studied her. You're gonna go no matter what I say. Yes, sir. He stood, paced, turned back. Fine. But you're not going injured and half-trained. If you're doing this, you're doing it right. He pulled out his phone. I'm calling in favors. You've got 48 hours to get combat ready. We're going to use every minute. Sir, you don't have to. Yes, I do. His voice softened. At Takur Gar, you saved my life. Now I'm saving yours. Let me do this. Rachel nodded. Her throat was tight. Morrison made 3 calls. 30 minutes later, Rachel was in a private training facility with two 160th instructors and a combat medic. The medic was a woman late 30s with steady hands and no-nonsense eyes. "I'm Captain Lisa Chen. I'm going to patch you up enough to survive this stupidity." She cut away Rachel's bandage. The wound underneath was angry and red. "This should be in a cast, not a cockpit. Can you fix it or not?" Chen smiled, thin. "I can make it so you don't bleed out mid-flight. Can't make it not hurt." She started cleaning the wound. Rachel bit back a scream. "Yeah, that's what I thought. You're gonna need nerve blocks, local anesthetic, and some seriously illegal painkillers." "How illegal?" "The kind that'll get me court-martialed if anyone finds out." Chen started stitching. Her hands were quick and sure. "But Morrison vouched for you, and Morrison doesn't vouch for idiots, so I'm trusting you're worth it. I'll try not to disappoint. Try not to die. That's all I ask." The 160th instructors were both men. One was tall and lean with a pilot's eyes. The other was shorter built like a wrestler with a gunner's 1,000-yard stare. The pilot stepped forward. "I'm Captain Marcus Webb. This is Master Sergeant Kyle Torres. We flew with you in 2019. Kandahar operations." Rachel remembered. "You were Ghost 37's wingman." "Still am. He asked us to get you ready." Webb looked at her arm. "Can you hold a stick?" "Yes." "Can you hold it for 6 hours straight under fire?" Rachel flexed her hand. Pain shot up her arm. She ignored it. "Yes." "Prove it." They spent the next 6 hours in a simulator. Not a regular simulator, a full-motion combat flight simulator with real Huey controls and real-time threat modeling. Webb threw everything at her. Engine failures, hydraulic leaks, enemy fire, zero visibility, wounded co-pilot, damaged instruments. Rachel flew through all of it. Her arms screamed. The pain meds wore off. She didn't care. She was Shadow 7-1. She was a Night Stalker. Pain was just information. Enough. Webb killed the simulator. "You've still got it." Rachel's hands were shaking. Sweat dripped down her face. "What's the mission?" Webb looked at Torres. Torres nodded. "6-man team," Webb said. "Delta Force. Reconnaissance mission in hostile territory. Went silent 72 hours ago. Last transmission was 2 words, Webb alive." Webb. "Call sign for their team leader, Major David Webb, my brother." Rachel's chest tightened. "They sent family to extract family. They didn't send anyone. This mission doesn't exist. The team doesn't exist. If they die there, they're just names on a wall with no explanation." Webb's jaw clenched. "But I'm not leaving my brother to die because some politician wants deniability." "Where are they?" "Can't say here. You'll get briefed en route." He paused. "What I can say is it's bad. Hot LZ. Zero support. Probable ambush. And the only extraction window is a 30-second hover in a valley that'll eat rotor wash and spit you out sideways." "Sounds fun." Torres laughed. "Dark." "She really is crazy. Crazy's what we need." Webb pulled out a map, pointed to a blank space. "This is where we're going. No GPS coverage, no satellite support, no backup, just 3 birds and the hope we don't all die." He looked at her. "You'll fly lead. I'll fly right wing. Ghost flies left. We go in fast, grab the team, get out faster." "What's our air support?" "We're our air support." Torres said it flat. "We've got door guns and prayers. That's it." Rachel nodded. "When do we leave?" 19 hours. Use them to rest. Heal. Make peace with whatever God you believe in." Webb's voice went quiet. "Because we're flying into the dark shadow, and not all of us are coming back." Rachel spent the next 6 hours with Chen getting more stitches, more nerve blocks, more illegal drugs that made the pain fade to a distant scream. Then she slept. 4 hours. Dreamless. When she woke, her arm was wrapped in fresh bandages and her head was clear. Elena was waiting outside her quarters. "Heard you're leaving." "Yeah." "Heard it's bad." "Yeah." Elena handed her a box. "This was in my brother's footlocker. He carried it through Fallujah, Ramadi, 3 tours, never needed it, but he'd want you to have it. Rachel opened the box. Inside was a St. Christopher medal, patron saint of travelers. The medal was worn smooth from years of Miguel's hands. Elena, I can't. Yes, you can. Elena's voice was firm. Miguel died because nobody came. You make sure somebody always comes. So take his protection and bring yourself back. Rachel put the medal around her neck. I'll try. Don't try. Do. Elena hugged her, quick, fierce. You're family now, Rachel. And family comes home. At 2300 hours, Rachel walked onto a dark airfield. 3 Hueys sat waiting. Crew chiefs loading ammunition. Pilots doing pre-flight. Webb and Ghost 37 talking by the lead bird. Ghost was exactly as Rachel remembered. Mid-40s. Gray at the temples. Eyes that had seen too much and forgotten nothing. He saw her and smiled. Shadow 7-1. Looking good for someone who should be in a hospital. Looking good for someone who should be retired. Ghost laughed. They tried to retire me. Turned out I'm unemployable in the civilian world. All I know is flying into places that want to kill me. He gestured to the Hueys. You remember these birds. UH-1Hs. Same as I flew 3 nights ago. Same as we flew in Pakistan. Same as we flew in Syria. Same as we've been flying since before you were born. He patted the fuselage. Simple, honest, and mean as hell when you need them to be. Webb walked over. We're wheels up in 10. Final brief in the air. Everybody clear on the chain of command. Your mission commander, Rachel said. Ghost is tactical lead. I'm flight lead. And if I go down, Ghost takes command. If Ghost goes down, I take command. If I go down, everyone's already dead, so it doesn't matter. Webb smiled. Glad you understand the odds. He handed her a helmet. This was your old helmet, from the 160th. Morrison had it pulled from storage. Rachel took it. Her old call sign was still painted on the side. Shadow 7-1. She'd worn this helmet through 100 missions. It felt like coming home. Let's fly, she said. They lifted off into darkness. 3 Hueys flying low and fast. No lights, no radio chatter. Just the sound of rotors and wind and her own breathing. Rachel flew lid Webb on her right, Ghost on her left. Perfect formation, perfect spacing, like the old days. Webb's voice crackled in her headset. Briefing time. Pay attention because I'm only saying this once. A map appeared on her HUD. Target location is here, Syrian border. No man's land. Officially, nobody's there. Unofficially, it's crawling with hostiles. What was the mission, Rachel asked. Delta team went in to verify intelligence on a high-value target. Communications went dark. Last transmission was 48 hours ago. Webb said they were compromised and going to ground. Why didn't they extract? Because the HVT was there. They couldn't leave without confirmation. Webb's voice tightened. My brother doesn't quit, even when he should. Runs in the family, Ghost muttered. Their extraction window is at 400. We'll have 30 seconds to land, load, and lift before every hostile in a 10-mile radius converges on us. 30 seconds. Rachel ran the numbers. That's tight. That's suicide, Torres said from the door gun. But that's what we do. They flew for 3 hours. Rachel's arm throbbed. The nerve blocks were wearing off. She gritted her teeth and flew. Webb's voice. Approaching the border. Going dark. All 3 Hueys killed their running lights. Now they were just shadows against the night sky. Invisible. Deadly. Shadow 7-1. Your bird's drifting left. Ghost's voice was calm. Rachel corrected. Her arm was starting to shake. Copy. You good? I'm good. You don't sound good. I said I'm good. Rachel's voice was steel. Focus on your bird, Ghost. I'll fly mine. They crossed the border at 50 feet. Rachel flew on instinct and training. No GPS, no instruments, just terrain and memory and the 6th sense that came from 1,000 hours in the cockpit. Shadow 7-1 climbed to 500 feet. We're approaching the valley. Rachel pulled back. The Huey climbed. Below them, the earth opened into a dark canyon. Target LZ is at the end of the valley. Webb's team is transmitting IR strobes every 60 seconds. Watch for them. Rachel scanned the darkness, saw nothing. Negative contact. Keep looking. 30 seconds passed. Rachel's arm was on fire. Her vision was starting to blur. She blinked hard, focused. Then she saw it. A brief flash of infrared light. 3 pulses. Long, short, long. Contact. IR strobe bearing 275. Distance 2 miles. Roger. That's them. Webb's voice went hard. Shadow flight weapons free. If it moves and it's not us, kill it. Torres charged his door gun. Copy that. They approached the LZ fast. Rachel saw it in her mind before she saw it in reality. Narrow valley, rocky ground. No cover. A killing field. This is bad, Ghost said. Agreed. Webb's voice was tight. Shadow 7-1, you see a landing spot. Rachel studied the terrain through her NVGs. Saw rocks, boulders, impossible angles. Then saw a flat patch. Maybe 20 feet wide. Maybe. I've got a spot. Tight but doable. How tight? Pray you don't clip a rotor tight. Good enough. You're going in first. We'll cover. Rachel dropped the Huey like a stone. Her arm screamed. She ignored it. Focused on the landing spot. 15 feet. 10. 5. The skids touched down. Barely. Shadow 7-1 on the ground. Secure the perimeter. Torres jumped out. Weapon up. 2 other crew chiefs joined him. Rachel kept the rotors spinning. Her arm was shaking so hard she could barely hold the stick. Where's the team? Coming. Torres's voice was tense. Movement at 2 o'clock, weapons hot. Hold fire. Webb's voice cracked. That's Webb A. 6 figures emerged from darkness. Running, limping. One was being carried. They looked like they'd been through hell. Webb landed beside Rachel, jumped out, ran to the lead figure. David! The brothers grabbed each other. Brief, hard. Marcus, you beautiful idiot. David Webb's voice was raw. You weren't supposed to come. Yeah, well, Mom would kill me if I left you here. We need to move, now. They're right behind us. As if on cue, gunfire erupted from the ridgeline. Bullets sparked off rocks. Torres returned fire. The other door gunners opened up. Load now, Rachel screamed. The Delta team scrambled aboard the Hueys. Rachel took 3. Ghost took 2. Webb took his brother and the wounded man. Shadow flight were loaded. Get us out. Rachel pulled pitch. The Huey lifted. Bullets punched through the tail boom. An RPG streaked past, missed by inches. Taking fire. We're all taking fire. Move, move, move. They climbed out of the valley. Rachel's arm was numb. Her vision was tunneling. She could barely feel the controls, but she flew. Because quitting meant dying, and dying meant leaving people behind. Shadow 3, I'm hit. Ghost's voice was tight. Losing oil pressure. How bad? Bad. Temperature's climbing. I've got maybe 5 minutes. Can you make the border? Negative. I'll have to set down. Not an option, Webb said. We're in hostile territory. You set down, you're dead. Then I die flying. Ghost's voice was calm. Shadow 7-1, take lead. Get these people home. Rachel's chest tightened. Ghost, don't you dare. Shadow, it's been an honor. He laughed. Bitter. Tell Morrison I... His transmission died in an explosion. Rachel watched Ghost's Huey spiral down. Saw it hit. Saw the fireball. Ghost. Webb's voice cracked. Ghost, respond. Silence. Rachel's vision blurred. Not from pain. From tears. Webb, we have to go back. Negative. We'd never reach him. And if we did, there'd be nothing left. Webb's voice was dead. Keep flying, Shadow. Get the team home. That's what Ghost would want. Rachel flew. Her arm was useless. She flew left-handed. Used her knees to control the pedals. Flew on instinct and muscle memory and sheer, stubborn refusal to quit. They crossed the border at 0437. Webb's voice. Shadow 7-1, you're drifting. Stabilize. I'm trying. Try harder. You're all over the sky. Rachel's hand slipped on the stick. The Huey lurched. I can't, my arm. Shadow, talk to me. What's happening? Nerve blocks worn off. I can't feel my hand. I can't. Breathe. Focus. You've done this 1,000 times. You can do it once more. Rachel took a breath. Focused. Found the calm center she'd learned at Hangar when Jennifer Mitchell was bleeding beside her and she had to fly them home anyway. I'm good. I've got it. That's my girl. 40 minutes to base. You can make 40 minutes. She made 40 minutes. Barely. When they landed, crew chiefs had to pry her hands off the stick. Her arm had bled through the bandages. The stitches had torn. Chen took one look and started swearing. You tore everything. Everything. I'm gonna have to restitch this whole thing. Do it fast, Rachel said. I need to debrief. You need surgery. After debrief, David Webb walked over. He was tall, scarred, exhausted. He looked at Rachel for a long moment. Then he saluted. Major David Webb, Delta Force. You just saved my team. Thank you. Rachel tried to stand. Couldn't. Did my job. Your job. He smiled, sad. Your job was to fly. You went beyond that, way beyond. He pulled out a coin, the Delta Force Challenge coin, for courage above and beyond, from one operator to another. Rachel took it. Her hand was shaking so hard she almost dropped it. Webb knelt. My brother told me about you, about Hangar, about the 340 Marines. He said you were the best pilot he'd ever flown with. He was right. Ghost was. Rachel's voice broke. He shouldn't have. He died doing what he loved, flying into the dark to save people who needed saving. There are worse ways to go. Webb's jaw tightened. He told me once that the only thing worth dying for is making sure someone else gets to live. Tonight, 6 men get to live because of him. Because of you. That's not nothing. Rachel nodded. Couldn't speak. Webb stood. Get fixed up, Shadow 7-1. The world needs more pilots like you. He walked away. Rachel sat on the tarmac covered in blood, hers others she didn't know. Chen came over with a medical bag. You're an idiot, Chen said, but her voice was gentle. A brave, crazy, heroic idiot. She started cleaning the wound. This is gonna hurt. Everything hurts. Yeah, well, this is gonna hurt more. Chen worked for an hour, restitched everything, used surgical staples, wrapped it tight. You're grounded for 2 weeks, minimum. Don't argue. Your arm needs time to heal. Actually heal. Rachel looked at the medal around her neck. Miguel's St. Christopher. I'm alive. That's what matters. You're alive for now. Keep pulling stunts like this and that'll change. Chen packed her bag. Rest. Actually rest. Doctor's orders. After Chen left, Rachel sat alone, watched the sun come up, thought about Ghost, about Jennifer Mitchell, about all the pilots who'd flown into the dark and never came back. Her phone buzzed. Morrison. You alive? Mostly. I heard. Ghost didn't make it. No, sir. Morrison was quiet. Was it worth it? Rachel thought about David Webb and his team, about 6 men who'd get to see their families again, about Ghost dying so others could live. Yes, sir, it was worth it. Good. Get some rest. When you're healed, we've got work to do. Shadow Phoenix is almost ready. Your Marines want you to test fly her. My Marines. Yeah, they're calling themselves Shadow Squadron now. All 340 of them. They want to serve under you. Morrison paused. You've started something, Rachel. Something that matters. Don't waste it. I won't, sir. She hung up. Looked at Ghost's Huey sitting silent on the pad. His crew chief was standing beside it, crying. Rachel stood. Walked over. He was a good man. The crew chief nodded. Couldn't speak. He died saving 6 people, died flying, died doing what mattered. Rachel put her good hand on the Huey. He'd want us to keep flying, keep saving people, keep doing the impossible. Will you? Rachel smiled, tired, real. Yeah, I will. She walked to her quarters, lay down, closed her eyes, and for the first time in 4 years she slept without nightmares. Because she'd proven something tonight. Proven that death couldn't stop her, that pain couldn't break her, that the ghost they'd tried to bury was alive and flying and never giving up. Shadow 7-1 was back, and this time she wasn't going anywhere. Rachel woke 14 hours later to hammering, loud, rhythmic, coming from somewhere outside. She stumbled to the window. Her arm was stiff and throbbing, but the bleeding had stopped. Outside, under work lights, 340 Marines were swarming over the destroyed Huey. Elena saw her and waved. "Get dressed. Your squadron's waiting." Rachel pulled on her flight suit one-handed, walked outside. The noise hit her first power tools, welding torches, men calling measurements. Then the energy, pure focused determination. Corporal Vega saw her and called out, "Attention!" 340 Marines snapped to. The hammering stopped. The welding ceased. Everyone turned to face her. Rachel stood frozen. "As you were." Nobody moved. Elena walked over. "They've been working 72 hours straight. No sleep, no breaks. They want Shadow Phoenix ready." "Elena, you told them 2 weeks minimum." "I told them 2 weeks if we work normal hours." Elena smiled. "They're not working normal hours. They're working every hour, round the clock, 3 shifts. Each man gets 4 hours sleep, then back to work." She gestured at the Huey. "Come see." Rachel walked to the bird. The transformation was stunning. New engine, new hydraulics, new instruments. The bullet holes were patched. The bent frame straightened. The scarred paint stripped and prepped for new colors. "We're painting her tonight," Vega said. He was holding a spray gun. "Black and gold, shadow colors, with a phoenix rising on both sides." "Vega, this is..." Rachel's throat tightened. "You don't have to do this." "Yes, ma'am, we do." He met her eyes. "You came back for us 17 times. We're building you a bird that'll never quit, so you can keep coming back for whoever needs you." A staff sergeant stepped forward, older, gray hair, sergeant stripes that looked earned hard. "Ma'am, I'm Staff Sergeant Mike Reeves. I was in that valley. Took shrapnel in both legs. You carried me out on your 11th run." He paused. "I've been in the Corps 20 years. Seen a lot of pilots. Most are good. Some are great. But you're something else. You're someone worth following." "I'm just nothing." His voice was firm. "You're Shadow 7-1. You're a Night Stalker. You're someone who flies through hell because it's the right thing to do. That's leadership, ma'am. That's why we're building this bird. That's why we're calling ourselves Shadow Squadron, because we want to be part of what you started." Rachel looked at the faces surrounding her. Young and old, black and white and brown, officers and enlisted, all of them wearing makeshift patches, a black phoenix on gold background, Shadow Squadron. Who approved squadron patches? Nobody. Vega grinned. "We made them ourselves. Figured we'd ask forgiveness later." "You're gonna get me court-martialed again." "Again?" A lance corporal laughed. "Ma'am, you've been court-martialed twice and you're still here. What's one more?" The group erupted in laughter, real, warm. Morrison's voice cut through. "What's going on here?" The laughter died. Marines snapped to attention. Morrison walked through the crowd, looked at the Huey, at the patches, at Rachel. "Someone want to explain why 340 Marines are working on an unauthorized aircraft rebuild?" Silence. Rachel stepped forward. "My fault, sir. They offered to help. I should have shut it down." "Your fault." Morrison's face was unreadable. "So you ordered this?" "No, sir, but..." "Then it's not your fault." He turned to Reeves. "Staff Sergeant, you the ranking enlisted." "Yes, sir." "You organized this." "Sir, we all organized it. Every man here volunteered. We're doing it on our own time with our own hands." Morrison was quiet. Then he smiled. "Outstanding initiative, Marines. Carry on." The group exhaled as one. Morrison pulled Rachel aside. "Walk with me." They moved away from the lights. Morrison's face went serious. "I got word from command. They're not happy about the ghost mission. We saved 6 men. You lost a pilot, and you operated in hostile territory without authorization. They're calling it a rogue operation. Rachel's chest tightened. Are they charging me? They want to. But David Webb filed an after-action report that made you look like Captain America, and Delta Force is backing his story, so command is stuck. Morrison's jaw set. But they're watching you now. One more unauthorized mission and they'll bury you so deep you'll never see daylight. Understood, sir? Do you... Morrison stopped, faced her. Rachel, you've got a second chance here. A real one. Shadow Phoenix, Shadow Squadron, all of it. Don't throw it away trying to save everyone. If I don't try to save everyone, what's the point? Morrison's expression softened. The point is you matter too. You can't help anyone if you're dead or in prison. Sir, with respect, I've been dead. I've been buried. And I came back. So, forgive me if I'm not scared of dying again. I'm not talking about dying. I'm talking about living. His voice dropped. Your father, Captain John Thompson, he flew medevac in Vietnam. Saved hundreds of lives. You know how he died? Rachel's hands clenched. Cancer. Wrong. He died from Agent Orange exposure, from flying into hot LZs contaminated with chemicals. He knew the risks, flew anyway, saved people, and died 20 years later from what he breathed. Morrison's eyes were hard. Your father was a hero, but he left a daughter without a father. So when I tell you to take care of yourself, it's not because I don't trust your courage. It's because I don't want you leaving people behind the way he did. Rachel couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. Morrison squeezed her shoulder. Finish Shadow Phoenix. Build your squadron. But do it smart. Do it by the book. Because the moment you go rogue again, I can't protect you. He walked away. Rachel stood in the darkness, thought about her father, about the stories he'd told her before the cancer took him, about the pilots who'd flown into hell and never came home, about the cost of courage. Ma'am? Vega's voice behind her. You okay? Yeah. Rachel turned. How long until the bird's ready? 72 hours, maybe less if we push hard. Don't push too hard. I need you all alive and functional. Vega smiled. Copy that. But ma'am, there's something else. Captain Hayes filed a complaint. Says we're running an unauthorized work detail. Says it's disrupting unit cohesion. Hayes. Rachel's jaw tightened. Of course it's Hayes. Yeah, and Bradford's backing him. They want the rebuild stopped and everyone disciplined. Let them try. Rachel marched to the command center, found Hayes at his desk. Captain, we need to talk. Hayes looked up, smirked. Thompson, come to beg me to drop the complaint. No, come to tell you to go to hell. His smirk died. Excuse me. You heard me. Those Marines are working on their own time, using their own tools, building something that matters, and you're trying to shut it down because you're embarrassed. Rachel leaned over his desk. You mocked me, called me a diversity hire, laughed while men died, and now you can't stand that they respect me and not you. Hayes stood. You need to watch your mouth, Lieutenant. Or what? You'll file another complaint, court-martial me. I've been court-martialed twice. It's starting to feel like a hobby. Rachel's voice was ice. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to withdraw your complaint. You're going to leave my Marines alone, and you're going to learn to live with the fact that courage matters more than rank. I could have you arrested for insubordination. Do it. See what happens when 340 Marines testify about how you refused to help them while they died. Hayes's face went white. That's not fair. Fair? Rachel laughed. Bitter. Fair is following protocol while men bleed out. Fair is mocking pilots who have the guts to act no captain. Fair is facing consequences for your cowardice. So withdraw the complaint or I'll make sure everyone knows what you did, what you didn't do. She turned and walked out. Behind her, Hayes sank into his chair, shaking. Rachel found Bradford in his office. Major, we need to talk. Bradford looked up. His face was still bruised from where Morrison had backed him into a corner. Thompson, what do you want? I want you to approve Shadow Phoenix and Shadow Squadron officially." Bradford laughed. Harsh. "You're insane. Why would I do that?" "Because if you don't, I'm going to request a full investigation into your command decisions, starting with the Helmand Valley incident. I've got testimony from 340 Marines. I've got radio recordings. I've got proof that you refused to send help when you had assets available." Bradford's laughter died. "That investigation already happened. Hendricks cleared me." "Hendricks didn't file charges. Didn't mean she cleared you. The investigation is open. One complaint from me and it reopens. And this time I'll make sure it goes all the way to the Pentagon." "You're threatening a superior officer." "I'm giving you a choice." Rachel's voice was steady. "Approve what we're doing. Let us build something good, or fight us and lose everything. Your call, Major." Bradford stared at her. Then he pulled out a form, signed it, slid it across the desk. "Fine. Shadow Phoenix is approved as a medical evacuation platform. Shadow Squadron is approved as a volunteer unit for emergency response. But the moment you step out of line, I won't." Rachel took the form. "Thank you, sir." She walked out before he could change his mind. 3 days later, Shadow Phoenix was ready. Elena stood beside the finished helicopter, tears running down her face. "She's beautiful." The Huey was transformed. Black hull, gold accents, a massive phoenix painted on both sides rising from flames, wings, spread talons extended. The cockpit had her father's name stenciled underneath the pilot's window, Captain John Thompson, Vietnam, 1969 to 1971, and on the nose in gold letters, Shadow Phoenix. "Your dad would be proud," Elena said softly. Rachel touched the letters. "He taught me everything. How to fly, how to be brave, how to choose what matters." Her voice cracked. "I just wish he was here to see this." "He is here." Elena pointed at Rachel's chest. "In every choice you make, every person you save, every time you fly into hell because it's the right thing. That's him. That's his legacy." Morrison walked over with a helmet, black with gold trim, Shadow 7-1 painted on both sides. "This is yours. Fresh start, clean slate. Don't make me regret it." Rachel took the helmet. "No promises, sir." "That's what I'm afraid of." Morrison gestured at Shadow Phoenix. "You ready to test fly her?" "Yes, sir." "Then get in. Let's see if 340 Marines know how to rebuild a helicopter." Rachel climbed into the cockpit. Her father's Vietnam helmet sat in the co-pilot seat, gift from Elena found in Miguel's storage. Rachel touched it. "Watch over me, Dad." She started the pre-flight. Everything was perfect. Every system checked and double-checked. Every connection solid. The Marines had done good work. Better than good. "Shadow Phoenix, you're cleared for test flight," Morrison radioed. "Take her up. See what she can do." Rachel throttled up. The engine was smooth, powerful. The rotors spun clean and true. She pulled pitch and lifted. Shadow Phoenix rose like her name, graceful and strong. Rachel flew her through basic maneuvers. Climbs, descents, banks, hovers. Everything responded perfectly. "Shadow Phoenix, how's she handling?" "Like a dream, sir. Marines did outstanding work." "Good. Then let's test her limits. Head to the canyon. Show me what she's got." Rachel flew to the nearby canyon, dropped into it, started flying fast and low, the kind of flying that separated good pilots from great ones. Shadow Phoenix handled like she'd been built for Rachel's hands specifically. Responsive, forgiving, honest. "Shadow Phoenix, you're exceeding safe speeds." "Testing her limits, sir. Like you asked." Rachel pushed harder, tighter turns, steeper climbs. She flew like she'd flown that night, with 340 Marines on instinct and skill and absolute trust in the machine. "Shadow Phoenix, you're showing off now." Rachel laughed. "Maybe a little." She pulled out of the canyon and headed back. 340 Marines stood on the tarmac watching. When she landed, they erupted in cheers. Rachel climbed out. Vega ran up. "Ma'am, how is she?" "Perfect. You built me a perfect bird." We built you a bird that won't quit, because you don't quit. Morrison walked over. Impressive flying, Lieutenant, though I'd appreciate it if you didn't try to kill yourself on test flights. Sorry, sir. Got carried away. Don't apologize. Just be careful. He handed her a folder. Official orders. You're now commander of Shadow Squadron. Medical evacuation and emergency response. You'll have 3 birds Shadow Phoenix and 2 Blackhawks. Crew of your choosing. Budget of basically nothing. And the expectation that you'll save lives nobody else can save. Rachel took the folder. Thank you, sir. Don't thank me yet. This is a poison pill. If you succeed, command takes credit. If you fail, you take blame. It's a setup. He smiled, thin. But I figure if anyone can turn a suicide mission into a success story, it's you. I'll do my best. I know you will. That's why I'm giving you this. He handed her another folder. Thicker. Personnel files. Marines who volunteered for Shadow Squadron. You've got 340 volunteers for a 12-person unit. Pick your team. Rachel spent 3 days interviewing. 340 Marines all wanting to fly with her. All believing in what Shadow Squadron could be. It broke her heart to choose only 12. She picked Vega as her crew chief, Reeves as flight engineer, Torres, who'd survived Ghost's mission, as lead door gunner, 9 others who had skills she needed and hearts she trusted, young and old, experienced and green, all of them willing to die for each other. Welcome to Shadow Squadron, she told them at their first official briefing. Our mission is simple. Save lives, no matter the cost, no matter the risk. We fly when nobody else will. We go where nobody else can. And we bring people home. Hooah! The response shook the walls. But we do it smart. We do it by the book. We don't go rogue. We don't violate orders. Because the moment we lose official support, we can't help anyone. Rachel looked at each face. My father taught me that real strength doesn't wear medals. It leaves survivors. That's our mission. Leave survivors. Understood. Understood, ma'am. They trained for 2 weeks. Flight drills, combat medicine, rescue techniques. Rachel pushed them hard. Made them sweat. Made them hurt. Made them better. Torres pulled her aside after a particularly brutal training day. Ma'am, some of the guys are wondering why you're pushing so hard. We're ready. No, we're not. Ready is when you can fly through hell and not break. Ready is when your crew chief can patch a hydraulic line mid-flight. Ready is when your medic can save a life in a moving helicopter. Rachel met his eyes. Ghost died because something went wrong and we couldn't fix it. I won't lose another person because we weren't ready enough. Torres nodded. Copy that. We'll train harder. On week 3, their first mission came. 3 hikers trapped on a mountain. Storm moving in. Local search and rescue couldn't reach them. Rachel got the call at Eero 200. Shadow Phoenix, you're up. 3 civilians. Summit peak, weather deteriorating fast. Can you launch? Rachel was moving before Morrison finished talking. Shadow Squadron, this is Shadow 7-1, emergency launch. All crew to Shadow Phoenix, 2 minutes. They made it in 90 seconds. Rachel had Shadow Phoenix airborne in 2 minutes flat. Shadow Phoenix, be advised, weather is severe. Visibility near 0. Local SAR recommends waiting for morning. Negative. By morning they'll be dead. Rachel flew into the storm. Rain hammered the windscreen. Wind tossed the Huey like a toy. But she'd flown worse. She'd flown through enemy fire and mechanical failure and her own blood loss. A storm was just another challenge. Torres, spot the summit. Tell me when you see them. Roger. Scanning now. They flew for 20 minutes. Rachel's instrument started icing. The altimeter was getting unreliable. She flew by instinct. Contact, Torres called. 3 people. North face. They're waving. Can we land? Negative. Too steep. Wind's too strong. We'll have to hover and pull them up. Copy. Preparing for hover. Rachel fought the wind, brought Shadow Phoenix into position. The bird shook and bucked. Vega, deploy the rescue harness. Vega was already moving. He lowered the harness. The wind caught it and slammed it into the rocks. Come on, you bastards, grab it. One hiker grabbed it. Vega pulled him up. then the second, then the third, all of them hypothermic and terrified, but alive. All three secured. Get us out of here. Rachel pulled away from the mountain, flew them back through the storm, landed at the hospital, watched medics rush the hikers inside. Morrison was waiting. That was insane. That was necessary. Local SAR said it was impossible. They were wrong. Rachel climbed out of the cockpit. Her hands were shaking from adrenaline and cold and relief. 3 people are alive. That's all that matters. Morrison smiled. Welcome back, Shadow 7-1. Welcome back for real. Over the next 3 months, Shadow Squadron flew 73 missions. Car accidents, building collapses, flash floods. Every time someone needed help and nobody else could reach them, Shadow Squadron launched. They worked brutal hours, pushed impossible limits, and saved 216 lives. Rachel's reputation grew. Articles appeared, news stories. People started calling her the Angel of Afghanistan. She hated the nickname but couldn't stop it. Bradford watched it all with growing resentment. Hayes, too. They saw Shadow Squadron's success as their failure, as proof that they'd been wrong. She's making us look bad, Hayes told Bradford one night. Rachel heard them through the thin walls. She makes everyone look bad. That's the problem. She's too good, too brave, too willing to break rules when it matters. Bradford's voice was bitter. We need to find a way to shut her down. How Morrison protects her. Morrison won't always be here. And when he leaves, Shadow Squadron goes with him. Mark my words. This is temporary. Her glory days end the moment she slips up. Rachel sat in her quarters and listened, felt the old anger rising, but also something new. Understanding. Bradford wasn't evil. He was scared. Scared of pilots who made him look small. Scared of courage he didn't possess. Scared of a world where merit mattered more than rank. She almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. Shadow 7-1. Shadow, this is Webb. David Webb. Delta Force. Hey, how are you? Good. Your name came up in a briefing today. High level. Classified. He paused. There's a situation developing. Can't talk on this line. But you should know they're going to ask you to do something impossible, and you're going to have to choose whether to say yes. What kind of impossible? The kind that ends careers or makes legends. No in between. His voice went quiet. Ghost believed in you. Said you were the best pilot he'd ever flown with. I believe in you too. So, when they ask, remember that some missions only work if the right person flies them. Webb, you're scaring me. Good. Be scared. Be smart. But be ready. He hung up. Rachel stared at the phone, felt the future closing in. 2 days later, Morrison walked into her office. His face was grim. We need to talk. Secure room. Now. They walked to the skiff, the sensitive compartmented information facility. Morrison closed the door, activated the security protocols. What I'm about to tell you is classified beyond anything you've clearance for. But I'm read-in, and I'm reading you in because you're the only pilot who can do this. Rachel's pulse quickened. Sir. Listen, there's a situation. Embassy staff trapped in hostile territory. 15 people, women, children, the ambassador's family. Enemy forces closing in. Extraction window is 12 hours. After that, they die. Morrison's jaw set. Command wants Shadow Squadron to pull them out. Why us? Delta can handle this. Delta's already engaged elsewhere. Rangers are too far out. 160th is committed to other operations. You're it. You're the only option. He pulled up a map. The extraction point is in a valley. Narrow, steep walls. One way in, one way out. And it's crawling with hostiles. Intelligence says at least 200 enemy fighters in the area. Rachel studied the map, saw the trap immediately. This is suicide. One bird goes in, it's not coming out. I know. Then why are you asking me? Morrison met her eyes. Because 15 people die if you don't. and because Ghost believed you could do impossible things. I believe it too. Rachel thought about her father, about Jennifer Mitchell, about Ghost, about every pilot who'd ever flown into hell knowing they might not come back. I need full mission details, intelligence updates, weather forecasts, and I need authorization in writing that this is a legal op. You'll have everything. But Rachel, Morrison's voice softened. You can say no. Nobody would blame you. This is asking too much. Rachel looked at the map, saw the valley, saw the death trap, saw 15 faces she'd never met but who needed her anyway. When do we launch? Morrison smiled, sad, proud. 18 hours. God help us all. Rachel spent the next 12 hours studying intelligence reports. The embassy staff were trapped in a compound surrounded by hostile forces. The extraction window was narrow dawn when visibility improved, but before enemy reinforcements arrived. One chance. Miss it, and 15 people died. Vega found her at 0300 still reviewing maps. Ma'am, you need sleep. I'll sleep when they're safe. You'll crash if you don't rest. He sat down. I've been crew chief on 37 missions with you. Never seen you this tense. What's different? Rachel pointed at the map. This valley. It's tighter than Helmand, steeper walls. One way in, one way out. And intel says 200 hostiles in the area. She looked at him. This isn't rescue. This is suicide with extra steps. Then why are we going? Because 15 people die if we don't. Vega was quiet. Then, my daughter's 3 years old. When she asks what I did in the war, I want to tell her I saved people. That I stood with someone brave enough to do impossible things. He met her eyes. So yeah, it's suicide, but it's the right suicide, and I'd rather die doing something that matters than live doing nothing. Rachel's chest tightened. Vega. No speeches, ma'am. Just promise me something. If this goes bad, if we don't make it, tell my daughter her dad was brave, that he flew with Shadow 7-1. That's all I need. You're not dying. None of us are dying. You can't promise that. Watch me. At 0500, Shadow Squadron assembled. 12 faces, 12 lives, Rachel was about to risk. Torres, Reeves, Vega, 9 others. All of them knowing the odds. All of them showing up anyway. Listen up, Rachel said. This is the mission. 15 embassy staff trapped in hostile territory. Our window is 30 minutes at dawn. We go in, grab them, get out. Enemy forces are heavy. Air support is 0. It's just us. Just us. Torres grinned. Story of our lives. Intel says the compound has a courtyard. Big enough for one bird. Barely. We'll have to hover load. That means we're stationary and vulnerable for 60 seconds minimum. 60 seconds in a kill zone, Reeves said. That's a long time. That's suicide, someone muttered. No, Rachel's voice cut through. Suicide is giving up before we try. This is calculated risk. This is doing the impossible because nobody else will. She looked at each face. My father taught me that real strength doesn't wear medals. It leaves survivors. Tonight we leave 15 survivors, or we die trying. Hoo-ah. Morrison walked in. Shadow Squadron, I need a word with your commander, private. Rachel followed him out. Morrison's face was grim. Command just updated intel. Enemy forces are heavier than we thought. 300 fighters, maybe more. And they know we're coming. How? Someone leaked. Embassy staff made contact with local network. Network was compromised. Now every hostile in the region knows Americans are attempting extraction. Rachel's blood went cold. We're flying into an ambush. Yes. Then we scrub the mission. Can't. Embassy staff sent final transmission 20 minutes ago. Enemy forces are storming the compound. If we don't extract now, they're captured or killed within the hour. Rachel stared at him. You're asking me to fly 12 people into certain death. I'm asking you to save 15 people who have no other chance. Morrison's voice was raw. Rachel, I won't order you to do this. This is volunteer only. You want to scrub, I'll back you. But those people, those kids, they die if we don't go. Rachel thought about her father. about the Vietnamese children he'd pulled from villages under fire, about Jennifer Mitchell bleeding out because they'd chosen to save 17 Rangers, about Ghost diving into the valley knowing he wouldn't make it out. I need to talk to my crew. She went back inside. Change of plans. Intel's worse. 300 hostiles. They know we're coming. This isn't rescue anymore. This is certain death with a small chance of success. She paused. Anyone wants out, leave now. No shame. No judgment. Nobody moved. I'm serious. This is suicide. Your family's... My family knows who I am, Torres said. They know I fly with Shadow 7-1. That's enough. Mine too, Reeves added. Ma'am? Vega stepped forward. You asked us to join Shadow Squadron because we don't quit. Because we save people nobody else will save. That's what we do. That's who we are. So stop asking us to quit and let's go save some lives. The room erupted in agreement. Rachel's eyes burned. You're all insane. Learned from the best, ma'am. They launched at 0545. Shadow Phoenix and 2 Blackhawks, 1 for extraction, 1 for cover. 3 birds against 300 fighters. The math was impossible. Rachel flew it anyway. Webb's voice crackled in her headset. Shadow 7-1, this is Delta 7. We just got authorization. We're 10 minutes behind you. Hold position, and we'll provide cover. Negative Delta 7. Embassy staff doesn't have 10 minutes. We're going in now. Shadow, that's suicide. Then send flowers. Shadow Phoenix out. She switched to squadron frequency. Shadow Flight, this is 7-1. We're going in hot. Expect heavy resistance. Kill anything that shoots at us. Protect the embassy staff at all costs. If I go down, Reeves takes command. Questions? Just one, ma'am, Torres said. When we pull this off, are we getting medals or court-martials? Rachel laughed. Dark. Real. Probably both. They hit the valley at 0558. Dawn was breaking. Light spilled over the ridge. Rachel saw the compound immediately, 3 buildings around a courtyard. Smoke rising, muzzle flashes. Contact heavy fire from all sides. Shadow 2 lay down, suppressing fire. Shadow 3, cover our 6. I'm going in. Rachel dropped Shadow Phoenix like a stone. Bullets sparked off the hull. An RPG streaked past the canopy. She ignored it. Focused on the courtyard. 20 feet wide. Barely enough room. Torres, the moment we touch down, you get those people aboard. 60 seconds maximum. Copy. The skids hit concrete. Rachel held the hover. The rotors kicked up dust and smoke. She couldn't see. Flew by instinct. Go, go, go. Torres and Vega jumped out. Ran to the building. Enemy fire intensified. A bullet punched through the cockpit glass. Missed Rachel's head by inches. Contact right! Reeves opened up with the door gun. Taking heavy fire. Hold position. Rachel's hands were locked on the controls. We don't leave until everyone's aboard. 15 seconds passed. 20. Rachel watched her instruments. Oil pressure dropping, temperature rising. They were taking hits. Shadow Phoenix, you're on fire! Shadow 2's pilot screamed. I know, keep shooting. 30 seconds. Torres appeared through the smoke, carrying a child. Behind him, embassy staff stumbled out, terrified, bleeding, alive. Load them now. They scrambled aboard. Men, women, children, crying, praying, trusting that Shadow 7-1 would save them. That's 12-13, where's the other 2? Still inside. Torres ran back, disappeared into smoke. 40 seconds. 50. The engine was screaming. Rachel felt the controls getting mushy. Hydraulics failing. Torres were out of time. 10 more seconds. Rachel looked at her instruments. Saw the temperature gauge buried in red. Saw oil pressure dropping. Saw her bird dying around her. Torres. Got them. He emerged with 2 more, a woman and a young girl, threw them into the cargo bay. Go, go, go. Rachel pulled pitch. Nothing happened. Come on, baby, come on. The engine coughed, sputtered. She had no hydraulics, no oil pressure. Physics said they were dead. Fly, Rachel whispered. Fly for them. She pulled harder. The Huey shuddered, groaned, and lifted. Inches, then feet. They climbed out of the courtyard. Enemy fire chased them up. Rachel felt impacts, heard metal tearing, ignored it all. Shadow Phoenix, you're trailing smoke. I see it. Shadow 2, take lead. Get these people home. Roger, what about you? I'll follow when I can. Rachel knew she was lying. The engine was dying. She had maybe 5 minutes of flight time. Not enough to reach base. Maybe enough to reach the ridge. Maybe. Shadow 7-1, this is Morrison. What's your status? Bird's dying, sir. Engine's shot. Hydraulics gone. I'm not going to make it back. Shadow set down immediately. We'll send recovery. No time, sir. These people need medical attention now. I'll get them as far as I can, then put her down. Rachel. Morrison's voice cracked. Don't do this. Sir, it's already done. Rachel fought the controls. The stick was dead. She was flying on cables and prayers. Tell Shadow Squadron they did good. Tell them they're the best crew I've ever flown with. You're gonna tell them yourself. That's an order. Rachel smiled. Sorry, sir. Can't follow that one. The engine ceased. The rotors auto-rotated. She had seconds to find a landing spot. Shadow Flight, this is 7-1. I'm going down. Don't follow. Get those people home. That's my last order. Ma'am, no. Vega's voice was desperate. We're not leaving you. Yes, you are. You've got 15 civilians who need you. I'm just one pilot. Rachel saw a flat spot. Aimed for it. It's been an honor flying with you. Now go save lives. That's what Shadow Squadron does. She cut the transmission. Focused on the landing. The ground rushed up. No power. No hydraulics. Just gravity and skill and whether she'd learned enough from her father's stories. The skids hit hard. The Huey bounced. Slammed down again. The tail boom snapped. The main rotor tore free. Metal screamed. Glass shattered. Then silence. Rachel opened her eyes. She was alive. Bleeding. Trapped. But alive. Footsteps. Voices. Enemy forces closing in. She reached for her sidearm. Found it. Checked the magazine. 15 rounds. Not enough for 300 fighters. Enough to take some with her. Shadow 7-1, this is Delta 7. We're 2 minutes out. Hold on. Rachel laughed. Blood in her mouth. Webb, I'm done. Bird's destroyed. Enemies closing in. Get those embassy staff home. Don't waste lives on me. Not happening. Ghost died on my watch. You're not dying on my watch. 2 minutes. Hold. Rachel aimed her weapon at the cockpit door. I'll try. She heard them coming. Shouts in Pashto. Weapons cocking. They'd surround her. Capture her. Use her as propaganda. She wasn't going out that way. Come on then, she whispered. Let's see if you can take Shadow 7-1. The door ripped open. Rachel fired. 2 rounds. Someone screamed. More voices. More movement. She fired again. 3 rounds. 4. The magazine was emptying. Gunfire erupted from outside. Different weapons. American weapons. Delta Force. Get down. Get down. Webb's voice. Shadow, we're coming in. Explosions. Screams. Delta operators swarmed the wreckage. Killed everyone near it. Ripped open Rachel's door. Webb pulled her out. I've got you. I've got you. Webb. Rachel couldn't stand. Her legs weren't working. The embassy staff. Safe. Shadow Squadron got them home. All 15. 0 casualties. He lifted her. Started carrying her. Now let's get you home. Shadow Phoenix. Is scrap metal. You crashed her, saving 15 lives. She died doing what she was built for. Webb ran toward a waiting Blackhawk. Now stop arguing and let me save you for once. They loaded her aboard. Rachel looked back at Shadow Phoenix. The bird her Marines had built. The bird that had carried her through impossible missions. Destroyed. Finished. Fly not for glory, she whispered, but for those who cannot. The Black Hawk lifted. Rachel passed out. She woke 3 days later in a hospital. Morrison sat beside her bed. His face was lined with exhaustion and relief. You're alive, he said. Disappointed. Terrified. You've been unconscious for 72 hours. Internal bleeding. Broken ribs. Concussion. He smiled. Thin. The doctor said you shouldn't have survived the crash. I told them they don't know you. The embassy staff. Safe. Home. The ambassador called personally to thank you. Said you saved his wife and daughter. Said he owes you everything. Rachel tried to sit up. Pain shot through her chest. Shadow Squadron. Your crew's fine. Vega hasn't left the hospital. Torres and Reeves have been camped in the waiting room. They're driving the nurses crazy. Morrison paused. You've got visitors. Command wants to talk. Press wants interviews. And 340 Marines want to know when you're flying again. Shadow Phoenix is gone. Shadow Phoenix 1 is gone. Your Marines are already building Shadow Phoenix 2. Bigger. Better. With lessons learned from the crash. Morrison stood. Rachel, you did it. You saved 15 lives. You proved Shadow Squadron works. Command is making it permanent. Full funding. Full support. You're getting everything you need. Rachel closed her eyes. Ghost should be here. He should see this. Ghost is here. Every time you fly. Every person you save. That's his legacy. That's what he died for. Morrison's voice softened. Your father's here too. Your father's here. In every choice you make, every impossible mission you fly, you've become what he taught you to be. What's that? Someone who leaves survivors. The door opened. Vega walked in. His eyes were red. Ma'am. Vega. Thought you were dead. Thought we lost you. He sat down hard. Don't do that again. Can't promise that. Then promise me this. Next time you crash, you land closer to base. I'm getting too old to stress like this. Rachel laughed. It hurt. Everything hurt. But she was alive. Deal. Over the next week, visitors came. Torres brought flowers. Reeves brought whiskey. Elena brought tools and blueprints for Shadow Phoenix 2. David Webb brought Ghost's challenge coin, the one Ghost had carried since their first mission together. He'd want you to have this, Webb said. He told me once that the best pilots aren't the ones who never crash. They're the ones who crash and get back up. You crashed and saved 15 lives doing it. That's what Ghost called legacy flying. Bradford came too, stood awkwardly in the doorway. Thompson. Major. I came to... He stopped. Started again. I was wrong about you. Wrong about a lot of things. You're a better pilot than I'll ever be. Better leader. Better person. He looked at the floor. I'm requesting transfer. This base needs someone who understands courage. That's not me. Sir. Don't make excuses for me. I mocked you. Refused to help dying Marines. Tried to destroy your career. His voice broke. You saved 340 men I would have let die. You saved 15 people I didn't even know existed. You're what a leader should be. I'm just someone who wore the rank. He saluted, turned, and left. Rachel stared at the empty doorway. Felt something shift. Not forgiveness. Not yet. But understanding. Bradford wasn't evil. He was scared. And sometimes scared people did terrible things. But sometimes they learned. Sometimes they changed. Morrison brought the final visitor 2 weeks later. A woman in her 60s. Elegant. Sad. Familiar eyes. Rachel Thompson, Morrison said. This is Margaret Caldwell. She asked to meet you. Rachel's chest tightened. Caldwell. Jennifer Mitchell's mother. Margaret sat down. Her hands were shaking. You knew my daughter. At Takur. You were her pilot. Yes, ma'am. She died beside you. Rachel couldn't breathe. Yes, ma'am. I'm so sorry. If you hadn't, 17 Rangers would be dead. Jennifer knew that. She chose to fly with you because she believed in what you were doing. Margaret pulled out a letter. She wrote this the night before Takur. Asked me to open it if she died. I want you to read it. Rachel took the letter. Her hands were shaking. Mom, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And that's okay, because I flew with the best pilot in the world. Shadow 7-1. Rachel Caldwell. She's someone who doesn't quit, who doesn't leave people behind, who flies into hell because it's the right thing to do. If I die, it's because I chose to fly with her, because some things are worth dying for. Saving lives is one of them. Don't blame her. Thank her. Because every person she saves is someone's daughter, someone's son, someone who matters. I love you. Tell Dad I was brave. Tell Rachel she did good. Rachel couldn't see through the tears. Mrs. Caldwell, You did good, Margaret said softly. Jennifer was right. You are someone who doesn't quit. Someone who saves lives nobody else will save. That's why she flew with you. That's why she'd fly with you again if she could. I got her killed. No. You gave her a death that mattered. You gave her a legacy. Every life you've saved since Thakur Gar, that's her legacy too. The 340 Marines, the Delta team, the embassy staff, all of them are alive because my daughter believed in you. Margaret stood. Don't waste that belief. Keep flying. Keep saving people. Keep being Shadow 7-1. She left the letter and walked out. Rachel sat holding the letter for a long time. Read it again and again, felt Jennifer's voice in the words, felt the weight lift. Not completely, never completely, but enough to breathe. 3 months later, Rachel stood on a stage receiving the Silver Star. General Morrison pinned it on her uniform. The crowd erupted in applause. 340 Marines, Shadow Squadron, Delta operators, embassy staff, Elena, Margaret Caldwell, everyone who believed in what Shadow 7-1 had become. Lieutenant Rachel Thompson, Morrison announced, for extraordinary heroism in action, for saving 340 Marines in the Helmand Valley, for rescuing a Delta team under fire, for extracting 15 embassy personnel from certain death, for embodying the values of courage, sacrifice, and dedication that define American military service. We present the Silver Star. Rachel stood at attention. The medal felt heavy, real. She thought about her father, about Jennifer Mitchell, about Ghost, about every pilot who'd ever flown into the dark and not come back. Speech, someone called. Rachel stepped to the microphone. I don't deserve this alone. This medal belongs to every person who flew with me, who believed in me, who chose courage when fear was easier. Her voice strengthened. My father taught me that real strength doesn't wear medals. It leaves survivors. Shadow Squadron has left 216 survivors in 3 months. That's our reward. That's our legacy. And as long as there are people who need saving, we'll keep flying. We'll keep fighting. We'll keep doing the impossible. Because that's what Shadow 7-1 does. That's what Shadow Squadron does. We don't quit. We don't leave people behind. We fly into hell because it's the right thing to do. The applause was deafening. That night, Rachel stood beside Shadow Phoenix 2, black and gold, Phoenix rising. Her father's name on the cockpit, Miguel's medal around her neck, Jennifer's letter in her pocket, Ghost's coin in her hand. Vega walked up. Ready for tomorrow? What's tomorrow? New mission. Earthquake in Pakistan. 100 people trapped. Local response is overwhelmed. Command is asking if Shadow Squadron can launch. Rachel smiled. Can we launch Vega? That's what we do. Then I'll prep the bird. Rachel climbed into the cockpit, ran her hands over the controls, felt the history in every switch, every gauge, every scar on the metal. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She answered. Shadow 7-1. Shadow, this is Phantom. Heard you're operational again. Got a situation that needs your skill set. Interested? Rachel looked at the night sky. Thought about her father flying through Vietnamese jungles. About Jennifer choosing to fly into Thakur Gar. About Ghost diving into the valley. About every impossible mission that had brought her here. Always, she said. Shadow 7-1 is always ready. She hung up, started Shadow Phoenix's pre-flight. The engine rumbled to life, that deep, honest Huey sound that meant someone was about to be saved. Vega climbed in. Where are we going? Wherever they need us, whoever needs us. Rachel pulled on her helmet. Shadow 7-1 painted on both sides. Because that's who we are. We're the pilots who don't quit. We're the crew that doesn't leave people behind. We're Shadow Squadron. And we fly not for glory, but for those who cannot. She throttled up. Shadow Phoenix lifted into the night. Black bird against black sky. Invisible. Deadly. Ready. Below, Elena watched the running lights disappear. Touched Miguel's photo in her pocket. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for teaching her what matters." Morrison stood beside her. "She's going to save 1,000 lives before she's done. She's already saved that many." Elena smiled. "Now she's just getting started." Shadow Phoenix climbed higher. Rachel flew toward whatever mission waited. Whatever impossible rescue needed someone brave enough to try. Because that's what her father had taught her. That's what Jennifer had died proving. That's what Ghost had believed. Real strength doesn't wear medals. It leaves survivors. And Shadow 7-1 would keep leaving survivors until the day she couldn't fly anymore. Then someone else would pick up the call sign. Someone else would fly into the dark. Someone else would prove that courage matters more than fear. Because legends don't die. They inspire. They teach. They pass the torch to the next pilot brave enough to fly when nobody else will. Shadow 7-1 was more than Rachel Thompson now. It was an idea. A promise. A legacy that would outlive them all. And as Shadow Phoenix disappeared into the night, that legacy burned brighter than any metal ever could.